Hello and welcome to the show. We start this week's FailRace episode with Krusty on GTA 5. This at the very start of a race. As you can see, coming up, there is a rather big jump. And despite this being a split course race, there's still plenty of cars to have a four-way car hat, pretty much, on the landing. One car landing on top of the other is not so uncommon, but four cars managing to land in one place is quite impressive. That Russian kid up next, also on GTA 5. This is quite the episode of start lines being problematic, shall we say. The open-wheeled race cars up next. I mean, perhaps unsurprising, a lot of slipstream going towards his first corner. Something weird went on and everybody went to space. I quite know what started the initial bit of the crash, but yeah, something went on and just everybody got launched. Golden Piggy up next on a GTA 5 with the ramp truck. Now, this is a very powerful vehicle, as you can imagine, and as you can see, well, not much can really stop it when driving along the oncoming lane. It kind of just batters everything out of the way. However, for whatever reason, it goes up over the top of a ruiner and then clotheslined against the bridge, and it has been stopped. It has been stopped. I'm not quite sure how that's ended up on its roof. I guess maybe it's one of the hits must have been enough to just lift the front up and it scooped over the ruiner and off. Dilly up next on Assetto Corsa, back with the start lines, back with having trouble. So it's a fairly good start on board of this. Well, the AI ahead does get a good start and then just stops. I guess they get checked out because of something further up and the player just doesn't have time to react to that particular one. And, well, we go underneath. A little bit of a wheelie as well, just for good luck. This from the outside camera. It's a good start from the Porsche. The Ferrari up ahead just, I guess, checks up, and yeah, the player doesn't have time to realise there's a wheelie and a scoop underneath. It's one way to start a race. It is one way to start a race. Suki Blue on Project Cars 2. I think this is an AI car that gets spun around either way. It gets collected by one, and a second one and kind of a third one scoops both of them up into the air and spins them around. The Mercedes ends up on somebody's roof and pointing the wrong way. Not really ideal, although not the biggest crash. Mike up next on Project Cars 2. Runs a little bit wrong at Watkins Glen, ends up sort of getting a bobble up the hill, takes out the front wheel, the left-hand side wheels, and then everybody hits in. Just everybody plows into the side of the car, and that is the entire track blocked. A few cars get through, and there's all the pushing and shoving, occasional pinging up of wings as they come off various vehicles. That is an impressive car park, an Indy car park, so to speak. They do eventually manage to shuffle their way through on the outside. However, yeah, that's not really what you want. It's just still pushing. They're still slowly figuring their way out, trying to get past as cars lose bits of wings and everything. Customize MC up next on Wreckfest with, I don't even know what's going on over there. I think the name is, it's Terra something or other in that ball of broken textures. Now you might think this is a mod, it isn't. That is a Killer B, I think it's a Killer BS actually, being driven in that ball, and it does still act as a vehicle. I guess the textures are just glitched and bugged. It looks horrific, whatever it is. You can try and plough your car into it. It's difficult to aim for. Funnily enough, the big glitchy ball of weirdness is quite difficult to aim for. I mean, there's bits of it, I presume, like bits of the car fall off, and then there's sort of bits of the weirdness littered around the track where we see the player take a good run up and give it a whack. If you hit it in the right place, it's still the same hitbox as a car. It still technically is a Killer B in all of that. Not very helpful. Actually, it's gradually losing health in that, and then it is killed and stops spinning around like a lunatic. That's weird. It's weird and terrifying all in one go. Flying Gamer up next on a Wreckfest with two Crash Canyon. That's a random bit of debris gets thrown at the camera. I don't quite know where that came from, but you got flung around. Either way, so the player goes for a pass with a better run, ends up clipping the car, pings off of a wreck. We go for a 360 on the roof. It's quite an impressive carry. Not the longest distance for a car hat, but a 360 is quite impressive nevertheless. Invisible AK up next onto Wreckfest again, this time with some bus racing. Now, I know what causes the weirdness going on here. This is a little bit of lag for you when the game can't quite decide what to do and just pings stuff around. Now, the sort of the vehicles that get pinged do sort themselves out. I actually think it's my bus that's one doing some of the worst of the lagging here, the orange one. But there's other ones up further as well that are doing strange things. It's not quite how things work. Again, I know it's connection related, but it is very funny nevertheless. Sergio Turbo up next on Wreckfest. Now, at a figure of 8 circuit, normally, when you get hit at a crossroad, it's pretty race over, especially when you get hit hard in the door. This can be very, very lucky. Very lucky indeed. It spins around a couple of times, but lands pointing the right way. It's a big dent in the door, but does land pointing the right way. Inferno the Fox up next on Need for Speed Heat is racing in one of the high heat events when a Rhino appears out of nowhere. I mean, the Rhinos are supposed to be challenging and everything, but that's a little bit harsh. Now, it's a little difficult to see. Resolution's not amazing on this one, and it's at night. It's a bit awkward. I tried to slow it down. Now, up ahead, you can just about see the McLaren. I think it's the P1 that's leading the way, and it's just suddenly spawning in Rhino directly in front of the player. Yeah, that's not ideal. Not really what you want to have to deal with. Selector up next on Need for Speed Heat as well, travelling at high speeds. Now, we've seen what happens sometimes when you get a little bit of a bump at very, very high speeds in this game, and sure enough, things go wrong for the car. The parking, however, is exquisite. Well done, you managed to balance it perfectly on the back. I think it uses the wing to balance it. The camera gets a little bit confused as to what to do, but it is nicely balanced nevertheless. And finally, we move on to War Thunder with some more balancing. Now, the player is trying to get the truck up onto this wall. I guess maybe you get like a nice little vantage point looking down at the beach or somewhere. The problem is the tank didn't really want to go that way. However, as it falls off the wall, it doesn't sort of roll over properly. That one side gets stuck in the floor, which means it is, well, stuck kind of moving-ish around on its side. Kind of moving, kind of sliding around. That's definitely not how tanks work. I don't know much about tanks, but I do know that that is not how you drive them. It's not how they work. It does eventually sort of ping itself back down onto the floor, but some impressive balancing work has been going on, that is for sure. Anyway, that is going to be it for this episode. As ever, if you have clips you'd like to submit to this series, you can via our forums. There's a link in the description. At the very top of the page is the FailRace clip submission section, and in there you can find all of the rules and how to submit them. That, though, is going to be it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.